Hi, so this is Ray from Ray's United. I'm back again. Now this time it's going to be a bang. So stay tuned for the next 20 minutes, I think, because I think I've got a lot to give you lot today. And let's delve into this thing that I'm going to do. I'm going to give you a name for it. But for now, stay tuned and you're going to know the price. Through an algorithm that worked, I'm going to give a name to the algorithm as well, and the price of Pi coin or Pi tokens, as it were. You're going to know it, and you can, compare it with all the predictions that my fellow pioneers have come up with and see if it's close enough to what it can become in the near future, especially when it's launched during the end of the year. So, stay tuned, and I'll be right back.
I'm gonna set your place on fire. Let's get higher. I'm gonna set your place on fire. Let's get higher. I'm gonna set your place on fire. Let's get higher.
So I'm back. This is Ray from Ray's United, and this is my channel. Now, let me just tell you what I have actually deduced. I've worked it out. It's taken me weeks to use a mathematical model, which I've given a name to, and I will definitely eventually patent it. I'm not going to give you any secrets about how I worked it out. I can give you the factors that I used. I may not give you specific numbers, but I'll give you the factors that I used to work out the price, the potential price, the initial price of the Pi coin or the Pi token, as it were. So I'll just go straight to the content and tell you certain things that I did. But beforehand, I'm going to tell you a bit more about Bitcoin, because there is a correlation. So you're going to see just a little bit about the emergence of Bitcoin, and obviously the following 2 years, because I'm not going to go too far ahead, because you can't predict with cryptocurrency, you can't predict too far ahead. So I am going to just tell you the fact that Pi network has been around for what, 2 years now, and as it were, it's gained popularity. Recently it was announced that we've attained 15 million active users, active pioneers. So again, I'm talking about the popularity is gained from the day of its founding, which is 14th March 2019 to date. You understand? And that's how my algorithm worked out. So I correlated it to Bitcoin's launching on the sometime in 2009. Obviously, the website was launched in 2008, but it was officially launched in 2009 as the first cryptocurrency as a result of the economic crisis we had back in 2008. So I'm going to tell you that, and then while you're listening to me, please listen to the end, because I know a lot of people get bored and they think, oh, you're going to just blah, 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 blah. Please listen to the end and then deduce from that. Don't make any comment based on the beginning. That means you're judging without knowing. So make a comment after you finished everything, and then you can tell me, look, this is what I think, that's what I think. Give me your knowledge as well. Remember, I'm not perfect. I just use a mathematical model, and I created an algorithm which eventually brought up this particular figure, this particular approximation of what the value could be when it's launched at the end of this year, being 2021. So stay tuned. So yes, I'm going to tell you a bit of a background on Bitcoin, and I mean a 2-year background, very brief, concise. So don't think about the fact that I'm going to, elaborate it deeply. It's going to be very shallow, as it were. And then, of course, you can do your own research as well. People bring up figures here and there, but I have a reliable source where I got those almost precise figures from, approximation, of course, and I worked it out using some mathematical topics or mathematical structures. And then when I did that, I was able to come up with a certain number, an approximation as well. Because I own it, I can't tell anybody my secrets behind it, but I can only give you a rough figure and certain factors that I considered before doing it. All right, so now let's go on. So what I wanted to talk about first and foremost was the rise of the value of Bitcoin from 2009 to 2011. So back in 2009, when it came out, when it launched, it was approximately zero, but they had to give a value. So the value was about $0.0008, which is next to nothing because it's not even a cent. So it's next to nothing. However, that was the value. Do you know what I mean? And then back in 2010, the price rose. Do you know what I mean? It rose from $0.0008, which is nothing, to $0.08, which is 8 cents. So by 2010, now remember, nobody was really aware of Bitcoin. People were, trying to feed their families and stuff. So they weren't thinking about any cryptocurrency, any digital currency. Everybody was thinking about, how to come out of the credit crunch. Do you know what I mean? So it was very, very difficult then to get somebody to be convinced that, this new kid in the block is going to, gain traction and suddenly become something in future. Nobody could have predicted that. So then, please go through it with me. Then, if you were in my shoes, you wouldn't even have heard of what is called Bitcoin at the time. Do you know what I mean? So, a year later, it rose from nothing to 8 cents. And then at some point in 2011, now this is where the jump started. At some point in 2011, it was around $1. And then from $1, somewhere around June, it rose to $32. About 3,200% increase. You understand? 3,200% increase. So the previous year was 8 cents. The following year, which was 2011, it became what? $1 at the point, and then by June it had risen to $32. 3,200% increase. So that rise immediately became astronomical. So a lot of people were like, oh, we need to keep an eye on that. We need to keep an eye on that. We need to keep an eye on that. And then by the end of that year, it had troughed. After it had peaked at $32, by November, it had troughed to $2. Now that tells you the volatility of the cryptocurrency market. However, the trend of it has always been, if you were to draw a straight line through it, it will always be an upward trajectory. You understand? So fast forward to 2021, January 14th, we're talking about its price being $40,111. So something that started 12 years back or 11 and a half years back at nothing. A year later, it was 8 cents. 2 years later, it was $2 by the close of that year. Has risen or had risen up until recently to 40,111. Now, I'm going to tell you the factors that actually have given rise to all these fluctuations and upward trajectory of cryptocurrency. Stay tuned. So, factor number 1, popularity. Now, anything that doesn't have popularity is in the shadows. Nobody knows about it. Nobody's going to talk about it. And it's just going to stay in the shadows. But the moment it gains traction and it gains popularity, suddenly people will start talking about it. The media picks it up, negatively or positively. People become curious and they're like, I want to know what this is about. So even if you do have money or not, you want to know what this is about. So that curiosity is what's going to get you to have some knowledge about it. And then once you have the knowledge, you're going to be about. So that leads me on straight to the second topic, which is the public knowledge. Because it's gaining popularity. Now, you get to public knowledge. So public knowledge, once the public knows about it, people, the curiosity that they had before because of its popularity, and then the knowledge they've gained makes it even more popular, because then now people are like, okay, so I've seen this person buy Bitcoin 2 years ago. 2 years later, his money's multiplied by 3,200 times. So he put $1. Sorry, he had a value of $1. Fast forward 2 years, he had $3,200 worth of Bitcoin. So you can imagine how it became then. But then again, popularity, public knowledge. Then you have the third point, market acceptance. So now the market has to accept it. But then will they or will they not? So you're thinking, all right, it's had popularity, public knowledge is there now, but is the market going to accept it? Is there going to be any exchange where transactions can take place using this cryptocurrency, even though it has value? Are people skeptical about it, or are people optimistic about it? That is where at this point, that's where people would now begin to think that, do I have to commit myself to it? Because remember, once the market accepts it or doesn't accept it, you will now have to risk everything to say, okay, I'm not going to get involved in it, or I am going to go all in, or 1 foot in, 1 foot out. Nonetheless, you're going to make a decision based on the market acceptance. And the media is going to do that for you, because they will be talking about it. Everything goes through the media. They talk about it negatively or positively. And then we the public, now get involved, because we have the knowledge now, obviously, and it's already gained popularity. So when that happens, it now leads to a certain point where another factor that can affect it will be the number of people mining for Bitcoin. You understand? If there's a scramble for Bitcoin, people want it, people need it, what's going to happen? The market has accepted it, but there has to be a scramble. You understand what I'm saying? So when people start to scramble, when people start to create a tug of war, then obviously demand is high. So if demand is high, what's going to happen? Supply is going to be considerate, but they're going to hold it back. So people are not going to want to sell it, because now they're going to look at the value. The market's accepted it. It's got public knowledge. You understand? It's popular. But now what are we doing? We're looking at the number of people mining for it or looking to mine for it. So if demand is high, the price, the value is going to go up. You understand? The value is going to go up. So I'm talking about Bitcoin, but I'm correlating it to Pi, because the algorithm I worked out, which I'm going to tell you in a minute, used all these factors in comparison with the first 2 years of Bitcoin. First 2 years of Bitcoin. You understand what I'm saying? So you're going to see all of that. And the algorithm I used, which I'll name very soon, I'll give you the name of it. Obviously, I'll not tell you the model, so I'll not tell you how I modeled it, but you'll get the name and you'll get the price of Pi as per me. As per me. I'm loving this. Do you know what I mean? I'm loving this. So let's continue. So now, that's another factor that affects it. You understand? So we're talking about the number of people actively mining for Bitcoin at the time. The first 2 years. So I'm correlating it to Pi. So now we've got that. We've got the number of people mining, which in turn caused the fluctuation of the value of Bitcoin. However, the trajectory was upward. And then something which affected it even the most was the global economic condition. So you now have all these factors I've laid out. However, the global economic condition is the final straw. Let me give you an example. Bitcoin had a value around 5,000-6,000 as at 2019, right? Fast forward, COVID period, and around this period where COVID is kind of slowing down. In some countries it's going up, but in the UK here, where I'm at, it's slowing down because of vaccinations and stuff. Now, Bitcoin has risen. As at 14th January, it had risen to 40,111. Although the price fluctuates, the trajectory, like I said, is up. If I should draw a line through it, it goes up. Do you know what I mean? Because you can look back at 2009 and now you know what I'm talking about 12 years later. So it is up. However, what we're talking about here is because COVID, that's not to say that COVID is a good thing. It's not. However, we all know that that's how economics work. Once there is a problem somewhere, there is a solution for somebody elsewhere. Do you know what I mean? So when COVID struck, people's finances plummeted. And where did they look to? They looked to other avenues to make money because obviously their monies have diminished. You know, some people have had their properties repossessed because they can't keep up with the mortgages and stuff. So some people have looked to cryptocurrency. In this case, I've specified on the correlation between Bitcoin and Pi because I'm Pi-centric. Do you know what I mean? So that's what I do. So what happened? This is what people did. They invested in it. And because the demand went high, the price of Bitcoin went high too. Do you understand? That's what's caused Bitcoin to rise as high as it has become. You understand what I'm saying? So, in saying all of these, you can now understand the 5 factors I've given you. The 5 factors I've given you. And those 5 factors are popularity. Yes, the popularity. The second factor, public knowledge. Third factor, market acceptance. Fourth factor, the number of people mining. And the fifth factor is the global economic condition. Now, in this case, if the global economic condition is in turmoil, because they're inversely proportional, you understand? So if the global economy is in turmoil, demand for cryptocurrency goes up and up and up. If people start getting confidence in the global economy, demand for cryptocurrency might go down slightly. That's not to say that the price wouldn't creep up again. It would, because obviously the volatility in the markets, the stock market, is such that cryptocurrency has become the new normal. Not the new normal, maybe something that people are going to want to get involved in, you know. Do you know what I mean? So I've enlisted all of these to you. I've given you all of that. Now, stay tuned for the prediction of Pi. So, yes. So now I'm about to give you the valuation of the Pi coin. Again, listen to the end so you watch everything, you don't miss anything. Now, in summary, before I get there, what I told you about the factors that I used are the popularity at the time in my research, the public knowledge at the time, so between 2009 and 11, the market acceptance between 2009 and 11, number of people that were actively mining for Bitcoin between 2009 and 11, and then finally, the global economic condition at the time. It was in turmoil because of the credit crunch we had in 2008, hence the introduction of Bitcoin. Now, all these 5 factors are used in my algorithm. Obviously, some of them were kind of vague, but I had to use it in a way that I got my figures close to being right. You understand? So I used that. I worked out how many coins were available for Bitcoin at the time. So they've always had 21 million available. So up to date, they have about 18 million plus Bitcoin in circulation. So there's still 2 point something million to be mined at the moment. But with Pi, there is about 1 billion or more Pi coins being mined. However, because it doesn't have value, remember, most of it is going to be burned. And because it doesn't have value yet, you can't compare the two. It's very different in that sense, because this is a mobile kind of enabled cryptocurrency, and the other one is the usual traditional cryptocurrency. You know what I mean? So again, let's continue as I tell you. When I used all these factors in order to get the value, I worked it out using all the figures and everything. And so what I came up with is that when Bitcoin started, again, background, when Bitcoin started, it started with 0 at the time. So it was $0.0008, which is under a cent. And then it went to, a year later, $0.08, which is 8 cents. And in 2 years, it went to as high as $32. around June in 2011. And then by the end of 2011, it had plummeted to $2 approximately. However, it was still an upward trajectory from where it started, from nothing, zero. Do you know what I mean? So imagine at the time, if you had about 2 Bitcoin at the time, if 2 Bitcoin at the time, if you had 1 Bitcoin costing 8 cents, multiply that one by, do your maths. You have lots of Bitcoin, lots of money at the time, lots of Bitcoins at the time. You understand? So it makes, I don't want to do the mathematics because it's just for another day. I don't want to talk about the mathematics because it just does some people's head in. Sometimes even me. So I don't want to talk about it. It took me a while to do that. So, but I've come up with it and I'll give you an approximation. Now, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel. It's very important. And like this video. Even if you dislike it, you can do that as well. But I would rather you liked it. It's important. If you're watching, just click on that like button. It's on your left. If you haven't subscribed, on your right, subscribe as well. Press the notification button. You will be the first to know. Now, let me go straight to the figures now. So I'm going to look on my paper because I've written it down. I don't want to get anything wrong. So hang on a minute and I'll be right back. So I've come back with my piece of paper and I'm going to show you the figures I got. So before I give you the figure, before I show you, I'm going to, spell them out verbally. I'm going to, voice them out for you to hear. And then I'm not one of those YouTubers that, have all those fancy things on the screen. I go the traditional route. So you are going to hear it. That's why you need to listen to me. And the graphics are not going to be there for you to see. So you're going to actually have to listen and keep your eye on the screen so you can see what I've written. Now, so after everything, the name of my algorithm is called, let me see, Ray's algorithm. Simple as Ray's algorithm. I used the factors affecting Bitcoin at the time and I correlated it to Pi coin, as they say. So Ray's algorithm is what I use, quote and unquote, Ray's algorithm. Remember that. You can keep that. That's the catchphrase, Ray's algorithm. That's what I use. And I came up with the figures based on my calculation and obviously the approximation. So the starting value of Pi will be $0.021. $0.021. Remember that. On my calculation, I've estimated it to be approximately $0.021. That's at the first time it launches onto the exchange. That's what we're going to get. And then at its peak in the first year, we're going to get $0.672, which is approximately 67 cents. Now, the first one, what I said, the starting value will be 2 cents. 2 cents approximately. Remember that I said that 2 cents approximately. At its peak within 1 year or within the first year is going to be 67 cents approximately. And then by the end of the year, it would have, troughed a bit, plummeted. That's what the markets do. It will plummet. And then we would be around 4 cents. So we'll end the year around 4 cents. We'll start the year around 2 cents. That's what we're going to do. It will follow that trajectory. It will be an upward trajectory. And then I didn't do for the following years. And so, like I said, it's unpredictable. So I worked it based on the first year. And obviously with Bitcoin, I used the first 2 years of it because remember, Pi has been around for 2 years. And the reason why I use 2 years is because Pi already gained traction even before getting onto the market. So Pi has already gained the popularity. It's gained all the factors already, especially due to COVID, because people were at home. So people will stare on the screens and they see everything. You understand? So I'm going to show you what I did. This is it. Look. Can you see? Can you see? Yep. So you can see them there. See? Have everything there. Can you see? Yep. So there it is. So you can see, yep, the focus is good. The focus is good. Yes. Is it clear enough? Yeah, focus is good. Yep. So that is that for that. So I've shown you that. You've seen everything. Let me show you again. Is it clear enough? Yes, there it is. It's clear enough. All right. You can pause it and see how I've written it. So those are the values I work them to be. I'm not going to show you my calculations because those are my patent and I need to keep them. Ray's algorithm. That is just the fun. That is just the fun part. You know, while I was working it out, I used all my calculus, my sequence and series, and all of that. Fourier's transform. I used everything. I used everything, and I came up with that. You understand? But I'm not going to show you that. Like I said, you all would understand that that's the world we live in. You need to own your stuff, and that's an advice I would give everybody: own your stuff. So in the last part of it, I'm going to summarize everything, and then you are going to ensure that you keep an eye on this video till the end of the year. Subscribe, share, like, and I'll be right back. All right, so I thought, before I conclude, I'll give you a prediction or a projection of how much pi will be valued at in 2030, which means 9 years from now, how much pi will be valued at based on my algorithm and based on my obviously predictive calculation. Do you know what I mean? And based on that, using another prediction that was given by a source for Bitcoin in the next 9 years, which is at the time was the next 10 years, but right now it's the next 9 years. So I worked it out using 9 years, which is from now, because ours will be launched by the end of the year. When I did that, I came up with two figures. So one for pi, one for Bitcoin. So pi's one, I came out in 2030. One Bitcoin will be worth $397,000 the next 9 years. That's how much Bitcoin will be worth. One Bitcoin. Now, I told you one pi coin this year will peak at 67 cents. Let me just get my figures right. Yep, 67 cents, $0.672. And I said it will trough by the end of the year. It will plummet to about 2 cents. But when it gains stability, relatively, in 9 years, it will be worth, in 2030, pi will be worth $665.11, approximately. $665.11. So, this is what I wrote. Can you see it? Yep, it's clear now. My face is gone, and that's taking over the light. So you can see. Yep. So that's it. And that's it for today's video. I don't want to talk too much. I've already talked enough. So please, the name is Ray. The channel is Race United. And the quote is peace.